Hello, physical fiends. Oh boy, it is the night before the storm. I am genuinely very nervous, which might sound pathetic from your perspective, but as this is sort of a part-time job for me, there is a lot on the line here, you know? I kind of need the reassurance that this is going to be awesome. So I am excited and nervous at the same time, and I wanted to share with you my hopes, dreams, predictions, and I'm literally always wrong, so if I predict the same thing as you, I do apologize for jinxing it. And of course, I would like to know your hopes, dreams, and predictions too. If you're on the Switch 2 hype train and you're new here, then do subscribe. I'm going to be a great Switch 2 resource in the coming years, I promise you that. Now, a lot of these predictions may be either obvious or quite outlandish, depending on which perspective you're coming from, but at this point, I think Nintendo should know how to make this a success. They just need to replicate a similar release schedule to the original Switch. And let's face it, these past 2 years, Nintendo has been pretty much in a coasting mode. Aside from a couple of big releases that they definitely needed to keep things ticking over, for the most part we've had ports or lower key releases. That says to me they have been prepping for an unrelenting assault on our wallets for the first 12 months of the Switch 2's life. So firstly, is Mario Kart 9 going to be a launch title? You'd think it would due to it being the first ever Nintendo Switch 2 game shown, but that's not a given. And would they want to overload Nintendo servers on day one with all the online play? For me, a game that has heavy emphasis on online play, that would be brave to release it straight from the off, because so many things could go wrong. Maybe I'm being naive about that, but if I had to bet, I would say Mario Kart 9 would come out a month or two down the line. So what would be a launch title? It's far too soon for a mainline Zelda, it's too soon for a side-scrolling Mario game, but how about a 3D Mario game? It's been a while, and I don't think the same team who worked on Wonder would also work on a 3D Mario game. I'm pretty sure it's a different team, aside from the higher-up producers. The director of Odyssey, Kenta Motokura, hasn't had a staff credit since the 3D World port in 2021. I think something's brewing, guys, and I really think there could be a 3D Mario ready at launch. Now, I did say it's too early for a new Zelda game, but how about an expansion on an older Zelda game? Tears of the Kingdom came out 2 years ago. They promised there would be no DLC. Well, how about they were lying to you? Did you ever think of that? So, with the expanded power of the Switch 2, they can truly expand on their vision of the base game of Tears of the Kingdom, which I think stretched the Switch 1 to its limits. Now, I'm also going to bring in the physical aspect of this, which is why this channel exists, so I think Nintendo might go slightly beyond their usual generosity, something they're not known for, but I think if you already own Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 1, whether digitally or physically, you can pop it into your Switch 2 and gain access to the expansion pass with a fee. Of course, they're not that generous. Or, available at retail, there will be a Switch 2 cartridge with the base game and expansion pass actually on the cartridge, but this you won't be able to use on your original Switch, obviously. Okay, I think a bit later in the year, maybe even a year after the Switch 2's launch, I think we're gonna see Super Mario Maker 3, and this will take huge advantage of the Joy-Con's newfangled mouse functionality, which will increase its usability over the Switch version, which was a step down compared to the Wii U in terms of how intuitive it was. This new edition will include Mario Wonder assets, as well as Super Mario Land 2, because why not? It would also include more mini-games and more elements that will bring it closer to the Mario Paint style experience. That could be fun. Sakurai is up to something. I don't believe there will be a new Super Smash Bros. Game, at least not early on. I know it's a big hitter, but where can the series go from here? It needs a break. It's possible, though, that they may want to appease hardcore fighter fans with a visually spruced up port of Melee, called the Tournament Edition, mechanically untouched but looking nicer, and includes online play and is designed for the more hardcore fighter fan. And not wanting to confuse casual GameStop browsers, this will be a digital only release. Anyways, my original point was Sakurai, and he's been working on something for a couple of years at this point. Is it Kid Icarus 2? Or maybe a revitalization of a previously dead Nintendo IP. I would actually like to see him give Star Fox a go. I think he could do something interesting with that franchise. It would probably end up something like Star Fox Adventures, or Kid Icarus at that point. This is kind of the same thing. Coming in October, because why not? If I can pull games out of my arse, why not months as well? Animal Crossing will be back. Animal Crossing: The Revenge. This will be a steady evolution of the series with a new setting. You know, we've had forests, we've had a city kind of, we've had an island. Well, now the only option left is space, colonizing new frontiers. I don't know, I just think Animal Crossing has to come back. Of course, it won't be a massive success as New Horizons, that was lightning in a bottle, but I'm pretty sure it will definitely bring over a certain audience onto the newest system as Nuke and the family bring capitalism to the universe. In December, yes, we are getting Xenoblade Chronicles 4. Okay, we've only just got X, but I think they really had to squeeze that one out at this very month, just to fill the Switch 1's schedule when it's on its last legs. I don't think they could have done it any sooner nor later, so it had to be there. And, you know, maybe Nintendo would push Xenoblade 4 to early next year, maybe in the same slot as Xenoblade X, but they better have some other chunky game in its stead, because December needs something good. And of course, Xenoblade Chronicles 4 will be fantastic. I think third-party support is going to be a little bit selective in the first 6 months of the console's life. I do think Nintendo will have reached out to all major publishers out there and asked for at least one Switch title for the first half a year. Square, Bandai, Ubisoft, they're all going to have at least one game ready, and most of them will be ports of games found on other consoles. Games that released recently on PS5 and Xbox but were too heavy for the original Switch without, you know, intensive porting ingenuity. Now, Koei Tecmo, those guys are always up for a launch title, often with the least amount of imagination possible, so I do predict Dynasty Warriors Origins will be a launch title for the Switch 2. I think it's doable, and I think it will be a good indicator of what the Switch 2 may be capable of. The amount of characters on screen at once will be a good test for the system. I don't expect it to be a one-to-one, there will definitely be some downgrades, but it'll be good to get a nice benchmark. Square Enix, I sincerely hope they bring Final Fantasy VII, both remakes, onto the Switch 2, but it's more likely, in my opinion, that we will see Final Fantasy XIV. That's entirely possible, especially if the Switch 2 has improved Wi-Fi capabilities, but to be honest, even more likely is a cheeky port of Visions of Mana. I think that's almost a dead cert. Wanting to get more attention in China, Nintendo will definitely welcome a port of Black Myth Wukong. A good port, playing well on a portable system, that would definitely be a big seller. Now, you've probably heard that these are quite massive games, and yeah, I am a bit worried about the physical side of things. Some of these games are absolutely massive, and cartridges are either going to be very expensive or just a no-go full stop. So, I do expect most of these bigger titles from third parties, they will not get a physical release, especially early on if they're not worried about compression or things like that, which is very sad indeed. Or, I mean, if they do get a physical release, most will be download required dog shit or code in a box bullshit. One of those, maybe even a double helping, just to really wipe the shit on the sandwich, you know what I mean? I think Nintendo's first party releases and most standard releases will still get proper physicals, but those big, chunky, big AAA releases, I doubt it. One of my predictions that I've had in my head for quite a while now is Silksong. Now, we all know Silksong is definitely coming out on other consoles because I think Xbox have mentioned it before. I think, you know, Sony have mentioned it before as well. But I do think, I'm going to go out on a limb, Silksong will be a launch title for the Switch and it will be exclusive for a short period. I think Nintendo have thrown them a chunk of change and said, can you just hold off on Silksong because we would like you to be a launch title. And that's why we've heard nothing from it, because it's Nintendo's secret weapon. It's going to be the big indie release for the Switch 2's launch. I don't know how long it'll be an exclusive, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, but I really do think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a slightly bigger struggle for Nintendo to keep the momentum going with this new console compared to the Switch 1, because now they do not have the ability to fill the schedule out with ports of Wii U games, unless Star Fox Zero and Yoshi's Woolly World decide to make an appearance, but I doubt we'd see them in the first even 2 years. Although I wouldn't say no to an early Wind Waker Twilight Princess double pack. as though they would be so generous. You know Nintendo is going to do them separate releases for $50 each. And also, I don't think people would be super happy to only have all the ports on games on a brand new system. It's not a good look. So Nintendo are really going to need their teams going at full steam, and also they must have big upcoming games guaranteed on the Switch 2 on the same day as the PS5 version. As just a random example, okay? Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Remake. It's releasing on PlayStation 5 at the end of August, and it needs to be on the Switch 2 on the exact same day. No late ports after the launch window, okay? While the Switch 2 versions may not look as good, they need to be there for the console to keep up appearances, showing that it can go toe-to-toe and would be a solid alternative for people who only want one console. Because with the Switch 1, you kind of need to have a PS5 as well, just to get the full gaming experience. But if Nintendo can get everything on the Switch 2, while it may not be a perfect version of that game, it needs to be there, and Nintendo can seriously put PlayStation in a hard spot if they do that. And finally, my final hope, the only hope that I have, because I know it's not going to come true. Come on, Sega. Sega, bring the best JRPG ever home. Bring it home. Do me a favor, okay? Konami did it with Suikoden. You can do it with Skies of Arcadia. Bring it home. So, what are your hopes and dreams? Let me know in the comments below. I may do a live reaction video of the Direct to give my immediate thoughts and impressions. Would anyone want to watch that? I don't know. It wouldn't be a live stream, I'd just upload it after the Direct. That's if it's mildly interesting. Maybe I'll be boring and I'll just abandon it and do a more scripted video later, but let me know, would you be interested in that? And yeah, I'm nervous, guys, are you?